Hi everyone, you're tuning into a special edition today because today it's all about chocolate. I'm Andrea Tarr, in some circles known as the Chocolate Maven, and we're going to have a chocolate tasting today at Scan. So my guests today happen to be M and M, but I'll let you introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Maryann Fama, and I'm a member of Scan.
Hi, my name is Mike Ciavolino. I'm the executive director at Scan.
M&M, see? I told you. Okay, so have either of you ever been to a chocolate tasting?
No, I have not.
But a wine tasting?
Have been to a wine tasting. This is my first ever chocolate tasting.
Okay, hopefully not your last. But believe it or not, there are many similarities to a chocolate tasting and a wine tasting. Maybe sometime we'll have a chocolate and a wine tasting.
That'd be a great
so
idea.
Let's just call this part one.
They don't call you the Maven for nothing. I
You're
see.
not kidding. You're not kidding. So, first of all, a little bit of trivia. Anybody know the Greek name for chocolate? When I tell you, it might be something you know.
You stumped the panel, I think.
I stumped the panel so early in the session. So the name is Theobroma. And Theo is God, and broma is food or drink. So chocolate is known as food of the gods.
Oh,
I can
wonderful.
understand
No
that.
surprise there. I know. I can understand that too.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, you know, I have to refer to my notes because I don't want to make a mistake, but you know, chocolate's been around for a very long time. And even though there's been a lot of controversy over Christopher Columbus, but I'm going to mention him anyway, you know, he reached Nicaragua in about 1502, allegedly. And he is one of the first Europeans to ever have been exposed to chocolate. And interestingly, the chocolate that he was exposed to, they didn't eat chocolate like this. They drank chocolate, and it was more like a hot chocolate drink, and it was like baking chocolate, which has, you know, no sugar. It's just totally bitter. We're not tasting that today.
It's been a great experience.
Yeah, well, but that's what they knew. And, you know, they considered chocolate to be almost like money and gold, very, you know, very, very special back then. And ultimately, the explorers brought that chocolate back to Europe. Surprisingly, not too popular because it was so bitter. However, what do you think the Europeans added to the chocolate that changed it forever?
Sugar.
Sugar. The root of all evil.
That's right.
And sugar was a very expensive commodity at that time, so chocolate was reserved for the elite. It was just not for everybody, because yeah, sugar was very uncommon, but that's what did it. That turned the tide. And we're still grappling with that. So there's a couple of different kinds of chocolates that we're going to talk about today. So first of all, chocolate is milk chocolate. Let's start with that. And notice we all have a placemat. And on the placemat, we're starting with a 20% cocoa, which is Hershey's. I always start with Hershey's milk chocolate because everybody, for most of us,
World
that's
famous.
and that's for most of us, that's our first entree into chocolate, right?
Hershey Park.
Hershey.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. And little fun fact of trivia, that's where I learned, that was where I went to my first chocolate tasting. And that was probably almost 20 years ago. And I've been doing chocolate tastings for about 15 years. So
Wow,
apparently I
that's
like
wonderful.
chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see that we're going up we're going to be tasting and evaluating 6 chocolates, starting at 20% cocoa, going up to 90%. So that's a big variation. So milk chocolate is, milk chocolate again, and this is anything that has about 10 to 20% cocoa solids. But if you've ever had chocolate from Switzerland or Belgium, it's totally different. It has much more chocolate. It's much more chocolatey. But this is American milk chocolate. And then we have dark chocolate. So dark chocolate is technically anything 65% or higher cocoa.
Now, this is the one to the layperson that's considered to be good for you, correct?
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. But here's the thing. A lot of times you go to the grocery store and you'll see some, let's just say Godiva, and it'll say dark chocolate.
Right.
But that often is a marketing term. You have to really look and see what the cocoa content is.
What the percentage is.
What the percentage is, exactly. So the chocolate that we would call healthy, in quotes, would be 65 or percent cocoa or higher.
I see. So you have to actually look at the back of the label
Right.
to see percentage.
We're gonna, yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
You are the maven.
It's not like you go into the chocolate store and you say, oh, look, dark chocolate. Well,
And just grab it, like I would do.
well, like most of us would do. And then within dark, we have semi-sweet and bittersweet, which is almost the same. Kind of depends on how much sugar's in there. See, sugar. And it's got to have at least 35% cocoa to be either semi-sweet or bittersweet.
Okay.
And then, of course, unsweetened chocolate, and that's what we were talking about, baker's chocolate. If you're,
Yes, yes.
And that's what, Columbus probably was exposed to. Columbus again. Okay, I mean, unsweetened chocolate is what you would use for baking. We would never be eating that on its own. And then I want to mention white chocolate because
I love white chocolate.
I have this right here for the camera to look at. So I saved this because white chocolate technically is not even chocolate. It's not because it doesn't contain any chocolate solids. And I'm not saying it's not delicious because I like it too, but if you look at the ingredients, it does not have any actual chocolate in it. So technically,
It's all sugar, maybe.
Yes.
well, I will tell you the first ingredient is
Is
sugar.
sugar.
So
Okay.
let's just turn that over because.
I
And
need
then,
to let you do my chocolate shopping for me.
yeah. And then I want to point out another chocolate that is interesting. This is something called compound chocolate. So whenever you eat a chocolate, like candy, like a Snickers or a Mounds or an M&M, or not an M&M, something like a Mars bar, whatever, it's covered in chocolate. However, that's called compound chocolate. That's not really chocolate in the true definition. It's mostly got oils in it and other sort of bad ingredients that just covers up the
Why it
candy
tastes
bar.
so good, right?
That's right.
Exactly, exactly. So that's called compound chocolate in the United States. We don't really call it actual chocolate. All right, so let's talk a little bit about a few health benefits before we dive into tasting.
Great. That'll make us feel better about
Yes,
right.
indulging
I
on
want.
chocolate today.
All right, but you know what? Here's a little piece of trivia, though. It's kind of upsetting, but it sort of sets the tone.
This is another Stump the Panel.
No, this I'm going to get more of those.
All right.
But a 3-ounce bar of milk chocolate. Now that's a small.
A small
That's
one,
pretty
very
small. Like a little tiny Hershey bar, 3
Sure.
ounce. It's about 420 calories.
Oh my God.
That's not the worst part. It has about 26 grams of fat, which is about the same as a Big Mac.
Really?
Yeah, that's pretty
That
amazing.
is
surprising.
That is pretty amazing. All right, now for a piece of trivia to take our mind off the Big Mac. All right, so in which Alfred Hitchcock movie, if you're an Alfred Hitchcock fan, was chocolate syrup used as a stand-in for blood?
Was it the Cary Grant movie?
I'm going to guess Psycho.
Psycho,
Oh, of
that shower
course.
scene,
The shower
which
scene.
was in black and white.
Yes.
And famously, Alfred Hitchcock said he needed some substance that had the viscosity of human blood, and he used chocolate syrup.
Do I win the white chocolate for getting that correct?
That's
do.
an empty container, but you can win it. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's just talk a little bit about the health benefits. So, health benefits can include things like lowering your blood pressure, keeping your cholesterol in check, but that's only if you're eating just little bits of it. And chocolate also has serotonin and, can make you feel good. Of course, if you eat too much of it, it has the opposite effect. All right. So the health benefits are minor. Chocolate also comes from a plant, and it has similar properties to green leafy vegetables like spinach and kale.
Great.
So
You can
that's
have some with your omelet. Isn't that
right,
interesting?
exactly. So that's kind of like a little interesting chocolate fact. All right. So let's get into some tasting. So we have a little how to evaluate chocolate. We're looking at the appearance, something called the snap, the aroma, the mouthfeel, and the taste. So let's just start with our Hershey's milk chocolate.
All right.
And when we
Just
look
pick
at
it on up.
yeah, when you look at this, what do you think of the appearance, the color of this chocolate?
Well, it looks like what we typically think of as chocolate here
Exactly.
in America, something that
Exactly.
you find day to day.
To me, it appears a little waxy.
Hershey's.
Yeah.
Well, it's that typical brown Hershey's
Yes.
that everybody knows. And when you smell this chocolate, you're getting what? Like a very,
Sweet.
Sweet, yes.
almost like a milky dairy,
Yes.
right? Because obviously this is a milk chocolate. And now there's something called the snap, where we take the chocolate and we break it. And this is kind of crumbly,
Yeah.
because good chocolate or high cocoa
It's a-
content breaks better.
Yeah, it doesn't
But-
have a good snap.
This doesn't have a high cocoa content. So let's take a little bite and let it melt on your tongue. How does it feel? Beyond delicious.
No, very sugary.
Tastes like Halloween.
Exactly.
It's the taste of our childhood. How does it melt?
I felt it melted pretty quickly.
It does melt very quickly, because it's very milky and dairy and not a lot of cocoa.
A lot of sweetness on the finish,
Very.
too.
Very sweet. Well, that's your classic Hershey's. Let's take a drink, clear our palates. Okay. All right. The next chocolate is a Lindt sea salt.
Ooh.
And salt and chocolate is a super delicious combo.
It certainly is.
Chocolate covered pretzels, etc.
My weakness.
So, yeah, one of mine too. So looking at this, it's 47% cocoa, so a little more than twice as much. So let's just take a good, the aroma of this.
Oh, then that is nice.
Yes.
Way better than the last one.
It's,
Sorry, Hershey.
No, yeah, well, it's true, right? It smells delicious. It's not nearly as milky smelling.
No.
So let's do a snap.
Well, that was a good
A
snap.
little more, a little
A
more,
little more snappy.
a little more.
Snap
But
here.
I'll take a little piece and let this melt on your tongue. Now, the thing is, when you let it melt on your tongue, you're going to get the salt in your mouth. If you just chew it and swallow, you won't get the salt.
That's very good.
I'm getting
How
the
is it
salt.
melting?
Very, very,
A
very
little
nicely.
longer than the
Doesn't
Hershey's.
melt as fast.
right.
And what about the sweetness factor?
It's not as cloyingly sweet as
Right.
the Hershey's was.
You getting the salt?
I am.
There's a subtlety of both, and the balance of the two is really sublime. It makes for a great bite.
A lot more cocoa, so it's melting slower. It is delicious.
wonderful.
Chocolate and salt is like a great combo. Let's do a quick trivia question. Where
Okay.
does most of the chocolate in the world come from?
I would say Switzerland. Swiss chocolate, that's it.
Any thoughts?
Belgium.
West Africa.
Oh, makes sense.
That's where chocolate is basically grown. Remember, chocolate's a plant. Sadly, it doesn't grow in New Jersey. So you know what? Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Take it from me, living with diabetes is no easy task, but I learned how to manage my health condition, and so can you. The Diabetes Self-Management Program is a 6-week self-management workshop created by Stanford University. The program provides you with proven strategies to manage your diabetes and reclaim your life. You will join an interactive and mutually supportive workshop whose success builds confidence to effectively manage your diabetes and allows you to maintain an active lifestyle. See how proper nutrition, exercise, and medication management help you increase your energy, manage side effects, and keep you feeling in control. You will not only receive a copy of this book, but you will get guidance and support from others like you living with diabetes.
The Diabetes Self-Management Workshop meets once a week for 6 weeks. This innovative workshop is offered to all Monmouth County residents. Call the number on your screen to register or get additional information at scannj.org.
At the Save Green Project from New Jersey Natural Gas, we're bringing you rebates and incentives, including 0% APR financing, right on your natural gas bill to help make energy efficiency affordable. And with the possibility of no upfront costs and special incentives for moderate income customers, investing in equipment upgrades doesn't have to be out of reach. Go to SaveGreenProject.com for details on available rebates and incentives to help you upgrade to energy-efficient HVAC and water heating equipment. You could also be eligible for thousands of dollars in incentives for seal-up and insulation fixes. In the long run, you could be saving money on your energy bills too. Visit us at SaveGreenProject.com. That's SaveGreenProject.com.
Hey, welcome back. I'm still Andrea, and here's my guest, still the M&Ms. Okay, we're in the middle of a chocolate tasting, and we're getting ready to taste a 55% cocoa. So let's get down to it, guys.
Let's do it.
So now we're going to go for a Lindt 55% cocoa. Again, still not that 65%, which is the healthy chocolate. But you can see this is a lot darker. Just compare it to the Hershey's.
Yes.
And this one is, how does this one smell? Nice and
Richer.
Yes.
Yes.
definitely more chocolatey. Now let's try that snap.
Oh, much more snappier.
Much more snappier, right? Nice clean break. So let's take a little bit, bite it off, let it melt on our tongue. And how is this one going?
Nice. It's melting nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Not fast.
It's really still like a milk chocolate. It's the upper
Yes.
end of a milk chocolate.
But definitely a bolder flavor.
Much richer, right? And the first ingredient is still sugar, actually, but it is just has a lot more chocolatiness to it. It's good.
Yes. You can definitely see the contrast from the really sugary Hershey's.
Yeah.
More sort of commercial grade, and I guess.
Now we're getting into
Compared
the
to-
adult chocolate now.
Yeah.
All right, let's clear our palates. And we're using water to do that, by the way. All right, so now let's look at, this is Ghirardelli. And we're tasting a Ghirardelli 60% cocoa. All right? And the first ingredient, by the way, is chocolate, not sugar.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So just looking at this, I mean, it's a beautiful, shiny, beautiful piece of
It's
chocolate.
impressive.
This smells very
Very-
chocolatey rich.
Yes.
Delicious. There's hundreds of different aromas within chocolate. I'm not going to pretend I know them all. But now, snap this one. This one
Good snap.
makes a sound,
Folks
okay?
at home heard that sound.
Nice. Yeah, I
right.
hope they did. Nice and clean. Nice and
Yes,
clean.
yes.
Now you have to really put your teeth into this one, right? Take a little bite out of it. So now, only 5% more than the previous one, but much different, I think.
There's a hint of bitterness to it, which is good.
Right. It tastes more like authentic, real chocolate.
There is a hint of bitterness because we have a lot more. But I want to tell you, though, one of the ingredients in here, the last ingredient, is vanilla extract. Because when you get to very bitter grades of chocolate, the manufacturers very often put a little vanilla in
Add some balance.
to mitigate that bitterness. It's delicious, actually, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That's my
Still
favorite
melting.
one so far.
It's melting nice and slowly. Remember, the higher up we go, the slower it's going to melt. It's good, though.
Yeah.
Good water. Okay, so now we're really moving up. We're moving up to a 78% cocoa. And this is also a Lindt chocolate. And again, this one is chocolate, cocoa butter. I mean, this is chocolate.
And the
also,
first ingredient is chocolate?
Yeah, because now we're up
We're in
there.
the-
We're up there now.
Big time.
So you can just looking at this, much darker.
Yeah.
And again, I always go back to the Hershey's for reference. Let's
Completely
get the
different.
aroma on this one. Like an earthiness,
Yes.
but
Yes.
definitely
Almost
The
a little
nuttiness
coffee.
to it,
Like
yeah.
it almost smells like coffee.
nice. Now, snap this one.
Snapped well.
Yeah, this
good
is going to
snap.
be a nice
Sorry, I
snap.
snapped in
No,
advance.
hey, that's okay. You're learning. And let's now at 78%, This is going to melt slowly.
Take a few hours or so.
I know. We don't have that kind of time. How is this? How do you like it?
It's a little bitter, but I think because we've had so much sweet chocolate that this really feels bitter, tastes bitter.
So for a lot of people, 78%, which is a lot, it's more than they can even tolerate. A lot of people, the American palate still leans toward milk chocolate, but we're learning about some of the health benefits. So
I enjoyed that very much. It was very earthy. It definitely had a more real chocolate taste to it, but yet not that bitter where it was, sort of overpowering.
But the finish in your mouth, there's a little bit of a bitter note. You feel it? You taste it, actually.
Yes.
Definitely the opposite of anything Hershey. Okay. Wow,
That's something.
that's a tough one. All right, now for the final chocolate, I wanted to get something in the 80s, but it all depends what I find in the store. This is
Great
90.
decade.
It was actually. Now that you mention that, So 90% cocoa. So this is only 10% away from Baker's chocolate, which is totally
Christopher Columbus.
Christopher Columbus chocolate. 90% cocoa. And the last ingredient in this, bourbon vanilla beans.
Oh, great.
Because again, they put a little vanilla in to mitigate that extreme bitterness. Look how dark it is though, too. Just, visually, it is super dark. Now, when we smell this one, you don't get any of that.
That sweetness.
Nothing like that. This is,
It's like real chocolate.
this is like an intensity for me,
Yes.
an intensity of chocolate. But now, snap.
Whoa.
Wow. You almost needed a power tool to get through that.
That's, and look how it just has such a clean break to it. So just put a little piece in your mouth. This is too much for me personally, but as a demo, I don't mind. For science. What do you think?
So definitely a bitter taste right off the bat.
Exactly.
That's the first thing you're sort of greeted with.
And a very slow melting.
We could
Very
be here
slow
till
melt.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
But
Do you mind
nonetheless,
it?
I don't mind it. There's still a real depth of chocolate flavor once you get past that initial bitterness.
And you still know you're having a piece of chocolate.
Right.
But honestly,
I
I
prefer-
could not even eat this whole thing. It's just too much for me. It's still melting. So, of the 6 that we've tasted, what was your favorite? What was your least favorite?
Oh, mine was
M.
dark, 78% cocoa.
Was your favorite?
Was my favorite.
Yeah, that is delicious.
I'm going to agree with that. That was my favorite too. I thought that had the best balance of sort of real authentic chocolate flavor and
Without the sweet Hershey-ness.
right.
Right.
And still just enough balance,
Yes.
I guess, brought on by the vanilla extract that really made it nice.
Least favorite?
I have to say the Hershey
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Hershey's for
That
sure.
kind of doesn't, children's chocolate, I still,
Yes.
it doesn't do it. And maybe other than the 78, any other one that that you would really especially
I
enjoyed?
think the Ghirardelli Intense Dark I like.
The 60%.
60%.
Yeah.
I
It's,
even the 90 in small moderation.
Yes. Maybe that's a thing to do. If you're going to eat chocolate, have this, and you won't eat so much of it.
Or if you had a berry, some berries with it, or something that
Yes.
sort of offset that.
now chocolate,
flavor.
has even more antioxidants in dark chocolate, more antioxidants than strawberries. So an ultimate power snack might be dipping a strawberry into dark,
Darker.
like the 78%,
Percent.
dipping your strawberries into that.
That sounds like another show we should do.
And having that with a glass of red wine. Okay, that's the ultimate right there.
On our next episode.
On our next episode, a
right.
wine tasting. Forget the chocolate. Yeah, so chocolate, that would be a really,
Healthy.
again, everything, it's all about moderation, but that would be pretty delicious.
That would be wonderful.
So what else can you do with some of this chocolate? You can go to a chocolate store, of course, like I'm sure we all do, and you can say, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that. But if you buy chocolate like this, where you see the percentages, and you make your own chocolate bark, melt it, either in a microwave or a double boiler, lay it out on some wax paper. You can tell I've done this. And I add fruit or I add nuts, and then I just let it solidify, and I have my own chocolate bark. And I mix and match my chocolate.
Oh.
So
That's another episode.
So that's another kind of a cool thing that you could do with your leftover chocolate.
There's fondue also, right?
Yes, you could do chocolate fondue.
And then dip
The strawberry.
fruit in it.
Dip the strawberry in it. Absolutely. Let's get in a little bit of.
Recreate the scene in Psycho.
Yeah, that's good.
Something else you could do.
Let's do that.
Next show. That's the next show.
Wait, where are my
4
chocolate
episodes
trivia?
out of this.
All right, I want to get some interesting. All right, M&Ms.
Yes.
The real M&Ms were true or false? Were first created for use by for the U.S. military.
Well, I'll say true.
Well, only because it won't melt.
Exactly.
It-
Melts in your mouth,
No,
not,
not
in your
in your
hands.
hand,
Although it's been my experience.
Yes, I think that's a fallacy.
But let's see. Cocoa is a native plant to Hawaii. True or false?
I'll say, you say.
Well, I would say false because you said
Yeah,
Africa.
I would say false also
Yeah.
for that reason.
Exactly, but it was brought there in the 1800s, and Hawaii obviously has a very tropical climate, so chocolate worked.
Okay.
Let's see.
So they have a lot of chocolate growing there? A lot of
I don't know.
cocoa
I'm not going to say a lot. I don't exactly know, but they definitely have chocolate growing in Hawaii. But it wasn't native there. Okay. Which country consumes the most chocolate per person per year?
Well, it has to be here, right?
The U.S.?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Happily, it isn't. It's Switzerland.
Wow.
See.
So another interesting thing about chocolate is that, a lot of people think, well, if you're a diabetic, you're watching your
French
sugar.
fries.
French fries. That you absolutely cannot eat chocolate. But dark chocolate has a very low glycemic index, meaning it goes into your blood very slowly. So if you have a little bit of chocolate every day, even as a diabetic, and at SCAN we talk about diabetes all the time, that would be okay. Now, we're not talking a square of Hershey's chocolate. We're talking, like something in the 65%. That would be, because you can just see from the size of the samples that we're using, the chocolate, that's a pretty big square. So if you had one of those a day, even as a diabetic, that would not be the end of the earth.
Okay.
And if you ate it nice and slowly,
Let it
and
melt
let it
on
melt
your
in your
tongue?
mouth, right, then
Right.
it would be even better.
So I really hope that what this does for you as a tasting, it teaches you how to savor chocolate and just take small bites and let it melt on your tongue.
Sounds good.
Okay? Well, thank you, M&M, for being with me today.
It was our pleasure.
Oh,
Yes.
it's always fun
We're
to
on
talk
our way
about
to being
chocolate.
maidens now.
That's right.
That's right. So www.scannj.org if you want to know more about SCAN or you want to book us for your own chocolate tasting. All right? And we will see everybody next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye, chocolate mavens in the making.